Good morning. Welcome to Winnipeg. Okay, everything is pretty much the same way as I left it last night when I shut down. We're going to have a little bit of a rollback. Okay, last night, after I was all through, I was noticing that some of the places where I had put the CA glue to glue these wires down on top of the overhead bulkhead. I called it the wrong thing last night. I must have been tired. You'll see that. Anyway, yeah, I noticed that the CA was not curing. And I'm just sort of wondering, is it getting old here or not? I haven't checked it this morning to see how it is. I thought I'll bring the camera in and we'll check it together. I like to do things, I don't like reenactments. So you're going to see it along with me for the first time. No sunrise again this morning. Been, what, 5 or 6 cloudy days in a row now? It is only minus 3.5 Celsius, so if the sun was to come up, we'd probably have thawing again today, which would be nice. Be nice if we had an early spring. Yeah, I got to get busy on my bike box, get that done. Otherwise, the rebel's going to be here, and I'm going to be putting a motorcycle cover over it instead of being able to wheel it into a shelter. I don't want to be doing that. So anyway, let's recompose here. Yeah, like I say, everything is pretty much the same way as I left it last night, except for one thing, and you're all looking at it, aren't you? But only I get to eat it. Okay. Let's take a nice close look here. Correction. Let's roll back. I keep forgetting. All right. When I came back to the model table here this evening, I said to myself, "Self, you're not going to do any videoing." Well, then it came time to, well, first of all, I bent up these 6 LEDs to go in the remaining 6 holes here. I've already got two in, and I've already got them CA, the line CA down. We'll look at that maybe later. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I got these bent up and came to the place where I have to, shorten them. And I might even try and do them a little shorter than we did, although I don't know. And I was thinking, I'm going to cut them off, and then I remembered a comment that I got from one of the viewers, and Tara said something to the effect of, and if I think of it, I'll thunk her comment down so she can actually get it word for word what she actually said. She said, "Didn't you have many cutters when you were building the Bismarck?" And I was racking my brains because that's like 5 years ago. And I was thinking, mini cutters. And then I remembered it was when we were building the Bismarck that I'd taken these old side cutters that used to belong to my grandfather, and I ground them down so that they're almost like mini cutters. You can see that they're quite thin, right? But they're not very sharp. I don't know if they're going to, cut through this hard steel. Now, I know that these will, but I'm not going to ruin them on hard steel. I save them for, like photo etch and plastic and stuff like that. And they've done really, really well. We're on our 5th ship now, and they're still going strong. I suppose a person could buy a cheaper pair like this for cutting stuff like this, but anyway, let's just, for the fun of it, let's try my grandfather's modified side cutters here. maybe I should put the macro lens on. What do you think? You know, if I've gone to all this trouble, and I've broken my word to myself and said, I said I wasn't going to do any videoing, and I've already broken my word, so maybe we should stick the macro lens on here, and we might even stick the extra light in the front. We'll see. You know, when I'm opening it up like this, I'd play the theme from Jaws, except it's copyrighted. All right, let's see what we can do here. You know, I'm wondering if that's going to go pinging off on me. Maybe if I hold it this way. Well, it works if you, you have to bend them back and forth, because it doesn't cut all the way through. There's probably just little tiny micro whatevers. Okay, so Tara, is that what you were talking about? These ones? Well, it has been a long time since I have worked this late at the model table. But once I got started, I just couldn't stop. I got a spaghetti of wires going on here. My CA glue that I've used to glue the wires down to the top of the fuselage bulkhead, overhead bulkhead, is, yeah, I must be tired here. I don't know that this is not an airplane. Fuselage. Okay, anyway, you know what I mean. Yeah, I have a hard time making sense in the morning when I'm fresh. At night when I'm tired, what do you expect, right? Okay, I'm going to call her quits here for this evening. I thought maybe I might be able to have them all lit up and stuff like that, but I was thinking a while ago that undoubtedly putting the LEDs in this boat is probably going to add about a month to the build, but it's going to be worth it. I think it's going to be worth it. Yeah, I'm having a sort of a good time. Yeah, so we'll see you in the morning. Okay, now the plan is to take this Stynylres. For whatever reason, I took the label off it, but that is the Stynylres black. And I think it was black. I think now it had a bunch of gray added to it. But anyway, this is the same stuff as that we sprayed on here. Well, now when I brush it on, it's going to cover a lot of the, the glinting and so on. Now, mind you, we are going to be seeing this thing from this side. So, in all likelihood, we're not going to be seeing what's over here anyway, because it's going to be covered with the outer shell. Anyway, yeah, this a lot of these places were still wet when I turned in last night. Turned in Canada means went to bed. I'm sure you figured that out. Okay, so let's just sort of move in here and carefully remove our weights. And I notice that I'm going to be so careful with all these wires that when I get them all wound up, my plan is to have them all sort of gang together and probably all I think I made a mistake in my rollback. I was talking about there are 8 lights, but there are only 7, And actually, I spent a fair amount of time last night looking for the eighth hole, and I couldn't find it. And I thought, well, that's funny. And then I remembered, no, that's right. There was the four originals, and then we added three more. Okay, so that makes seven, right? Let's move in here a bit. Okay. Now my tape came off. I should have known better than to have used a piece of tape that I'd used for a bunch of other stuff. I'd used it to stick down on the green cloth to hold my line when I was running it out to the helping hands. Anyway, it's okay. So we got that one. Now this one. Can we get this one? Okay, got this one. And these self-locking tweezers, and I think that's it. Oh, I'm pulling on something here. Well, at least I didn't break the wire. I don't think I did anyway. All right, now are we still wet? I don't think so. I think it's dry now. No. This one was wet last night. They're all dry now. Now these wires can quite easily be pulled up off of here. Oh, look at that. I did it. I wasn't even trying and I did that. Does that mean that this is not going to work? I'm going to have to redo this one now. I think this one might work better. Okay, I'm just going to quickly repair that, and I'll use the curing agent and try and accelerate things a little bit. I wonder if I should have been using the CA thick instead of the thin. Okay, we'll get it, folks. We will get it. My hope for today is to have this all painted and possibly lit up by the end of today's episode. That's the plan. But things never go as planned. I'm going to have to be so careful with this. Okay, here's what's happened. As the saying goes, I am not a happy camper here. I have since broken off another one. I got to repair that. And I'm thinking now at this point, maybe instead of using CA glue to try and glue these wires to this painted surface, I may have been better off having used white glue, PVA glue. And I'm going to reinforce all of them, being as I'm going to be painting them over anyway. It doesn't matter, what's holding them down. And so I'm thinking that pardon my reach here. Okay, now, that's the one that we broke off. I'll zoom you in that spot, and we'll just try and I'll use this old brush. I think this brush comes from one of those painting sets, that kids have, the watercolor ones. I think that's what this is from. It should work for glue, although it's kind of splayed out. I'd like to have something that was a little bit more together. I don't want to waste too much time here because my glue is going to start to dry. Okay, I'll zoom you in. Now I would think when that dries, it should work pretty good. Now I'm just going to go ahead now and paint over all the other ones even though they haven't pulled off. And you know, as long as I got to wait for one to dry, I may as well wait for 7 to dry. I think we'll put it on medium, and that way I don't need to risk blowing a fuse. Try and speed up the situation. Okay, I think our glue is about as dry as we're going to be able to get it here. Except for really thick places like right there. But I think it's going to be safe to work with these lines now and not worry about pulling them up off of the overhead bulkhead. Not fuselage. And yeah, all right. Let's. There's something more important though that we got to do, right? And we've got to work out the calories before I start munching it down. And we better weigh the crumbs too, because crumbs have calories. Yep, I'm counting calories. Okay, what do we got here? 62. Okay, so the 62 grams. 62 times 3.73. Okay, this little piece of cake has 231.26 calories. And so we'll call it 232. Where's my pencil? Okay, we got 232 plus 658 from previous. Okay, I'm up to 890 calories. Yeah, that means I can only go another 110 calories and I'm up to my 1,000 calories. Oh, I see a mailman stop right in front of my house. Is he coming to my house or to the neighbors? I guess it's a she. Looks like she is going to the neighbors. Okay. Always something interesting happening out my front window. But not as good as Arlene's. Nope. About an hour or more has passed here now, since the last time I poked at this. And it was all white before. Now there's very little white. It's almost all, I was going to say clear, but it's not clear. It's sort of an opaque. But I think it's, you may as well say it's about as dry as it's going to get, I would think. Now, very carefully here. Pardon my boarding house reach. All right. I'm going to recompose and try and get my lines all going from here. Probably on the other side of this tank for this one, because I don't want the line to be seen from the other side. As you can see, you possibly could see through here, but not too likely. Anyway, I'll just run it along the tank to this line, and then I'll run the 2 to this line, and the 3 to this line, and just all the way along, and I'll just fasten them at the back here. And yeah, then we don't have a whole bunch of lines. Now, one thing I am going to have to do is where these, you know, I don't want to twist all these lines together, because then these ends, I won't know which end belongs to which one. So I'm going to have to somehow label them. That shouldn't be hard. Okay, here's the deal. I can't remember if I have ever measured resistance in an LED before or not. It could well be that it is designed in such a way that it is difficult to measure the resistance of one, because it could be that if the electricity wants to pass through one way, it won't work, and if it goes the other way, it will. I don't know. I know that that's the way it'll, light up. But for measuring resistance, maybe I think that this thing puts out a positive and negative load on something. And in other words, what I want to do here is I want to check each one of these wires and see if possibly we have a short somewhere. Because if we have a short somewhere, now is the time to deal with it, not after we get all the wires glued along the side here. So my plan is to check the LED. Why don't I just shut up and do it? And then afterwards, if I can figure out what the resistance is, then I'm going to use acetone in this on this glass slide if I can. I know I tried to use acetone once before and it kept evaporating before I really had a chance to use it. But I think if I use this glass slide with the concave center, it's got a 14 millimeter concave center here, and the acetone might sort of pool just a little bit there, and then, well, I'll put the macro lens on when I do it. I do too much describing of what I am going to do, then I go and do it. So let's just check and see if we can get some sort of resistance going here on with our LED. Okay, so that's good. That's working. Now we're going to go here, and we're going to go here, and we are not measuring anything. Okay, let's go turn it over very carefully here. Now let's try it the other way. Whoops. Go here and here. No, you can't measure resistance on an LED. Well, in a way that's kind of good, because if I know that there is no resistance unless electricity is passing through it, that means that when I hook onto these wires here, if I show I've got any kind of resistance at all, that means I've got a short to deal with. And I don't want to be in other words, I do not want to be hooking current up to this thing and then finding out it's got a short and I burn the wire out, Mind you, if it's got a short, it has to be replaced anyway. But I can well imagine that this fine wire, it'll light up like a light bulb. Might set the house on fire. I don't think so. Now I did have this in the right place, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Okay, let's turn it off. We'll deal with it later. Okay, let's recompose here and see if we can get the acetone to dissolve the enamel coating that is on the, and I'll check it with the microscope off camera later. It's quite possible that this enamel that is on here is formulated to withstand something strong like acetone, in which case we're going to be dealing with either heat or scraping it. Now I just realized that an easier way to do this would be to see if I can get the meter to jump when I touch this. Okay, here we go. Well, when I touch the two together like that, it does, but no. Okay, that means that we're going to have to come up with a different method here. I'll probably have to just solder something onto the ends of this, something that I can grab onto with the alligator clips or the probes, either one. Okay, I think I've bathed that enough. Now here's my thinking on this. I'll throw this out now. I actually hit the garbage can, what do you know? Okay, where's the lid for this? There we go. Now, all I need is something about, maybe 4 or 5 millimeters long to fasten the alligator clip on for the power supply. And so I was thinking what I can do is first of all, I'm going to tin this whole thing to make it easy for myself. And then I'm going to take the end of a lead here, which you probably can't even see, and just solder it on the end, cut it off, do the next one, cut it off, and then I'm going to have, okay, that's the plan. All right, now where's my solder? Oh, I had it in my hand. Okay. This is probably going to drip on my green cloth, isn't it? All right. Now this should work. Yeah, it did drip on my green cloth. It's probably going to eat a hole in it eventually. I was going to try and wind this up here like Chris does, but I don't know if it's going to actually work for me or not. I just want to sort of hook it over there like give you an idea how fine this wire is when you look at this number. I think this is number 16. Oh no, this is house wire. This would be 14. Okay. All right. Now that should stay there. Oh. All right, I believe that made connection. Okay, now the idea is, now we'll take Tara's nippers, and they should be able to cut through that soft copper. Yep. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just do that all the way along. It's not a real good soldering job, but it's going to be good enough. Now, got a call from my neighbor. Said he's going to be possibly late for coffee, but if he isn't, it means he's going to be here in just a little over an hour. I got to wind her up here, folks. Thanks for watching, everybody. And all being well, we're going to see you tomorrow.